Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. One of my favorite kind of interests to do on the side. I'm trying to do a lot more things that kind of interest me on this channel, especially because I'm going to lose the AdSense here soon, anyways. But I love talking about business stocks. Now, I'm not an expert at that, but I thought I would talk about two Swedish companies, kind of to me seeming like going through hard times. And I kind of want to hear from you guys. Would you invest in them right now? What are your thoughts on what you believe? Keep in mind, I'm not an expert here. When it comes to Swedish companies. I'm not an expert with the American companies as well, but I felt a little bit better with some of the companies that I invest in. And but we're going to talk about it. There's two companies right now that are kind of having a lot of issues and trouble that are Swedish companies. The first one I could think of is Ericsson. Ericsson has been having a really, really rough year. I'm going to go ahead and actually pull up the stock here. Hold on, Ericsson stock. Looking at the price here. If I just look at the stock over the last year, it's dropped pretty recently. It's gone down. And if I look over the 5-year total, it's been going down over the 5 years, definitely. Right now it's at 51 kroner, and it's been on a downward trend. Now, it's a telecommunications company, which I understand, but I kind of heard a lot more about Ericsson when I came here 5 years ago, and it was about 150 crowns per share, so it was about 3 times higher when I first came to Sweden, and now it's down to about 50 crowns a share, and I haven't heard much about the company, but I know they worked in telecommunications. One of the books I was reading interestingly, I mentioned in my other video, had a little bit of a story where Ericsson designed a phone, but they did make a mistake with the phone where it was like governments could hack into it. But the problem was hackers could as well. But I have to look at the exact article there. Anyways, I would hope that Ericsson does well. So I'm not like hating on the company or anything like that. And if you work for Ericsson, I wish you the best. But I think the company is going to have a lot of trouble here. And I don't know where it completely comes from. But I would imagine that their cell phone technology is just, how are you going to compete now with the cell phone market? It's so saturated with so many phones. And I think that one of the things that's hurt Ericsson, because I know they used to have phones as well, at least that phone side of the business has to do probably with China getting into the phone market in general, and that's been moving over to Europe a lot more. You have so many options besides this iPhone and Samsung, and there's just so many great phones out there. And as far as the internet and telecommunications are going, there's got to be a lot of competition. Again, I could be wrong, so feel free to correct me, but I'm guessing with just like the Googles in the world, the top companies, we're talking about Google, we're talking about Apple, just the amount of money they have. Even I throw Amazon in the mix. I think these American companies, and maybe that's just American, like China, these massive markets really have effect on the stock price. I think for Ericsson to survive as a company, they're going to have to kind of reinvent themselves. So I see 2 or 3 things happening over the next 10 to 15 years. They're either going to have to reinvent what they do, find a way to do something different than anyone else is going to do. They might combine with another company as well, or they might just kind of keep going in this direction. I don't know a ton of why they've been falling down. I know they've gotten rid of a lot of jobs, but I just have to think that the major companies, the major technology companies in the world right now, the global markets are just, they're able to compete with Ericsson on such a huge, bigger level. And just in the last 5 years, it's really had an impact. So that's one. The other one I want to talk about that's kind of going through a little bit of a hard time right now would have to be H&M. And I know the recent stuff in the news, but I'm talking more along the lines of profit. I'm going to put H&M stock up here as well over the last 5 years. The high point was 363 crowns per share. We're at about 140 crowns per share, so it's down a little bit. I think, I hope they can turn things around. I like H&M. They're a great company. If you look at one of my favorite companies in Sweden, they're definitely one I'm very interested in. But I think, personally, if I had money, I probably wouldn't invest in H&M or Ericsson right now. Definitely not Ericsson and not H&M, and here's why. I think that retail is just, it's a hard business to get into or invest in right now, because with online shopping really kicking off and people doing that more, I know you can shop with H&M, it's just going to have an impact on the whole industry. And they're also finding out now, too, name brands like to younger people don't mean the same thing they used to. if you look, there's a lot of people that are YouTubers that have their own clothing brand. I mean, if I think of the Paul brothers, for example, and they're finding that younger people don't have that same connection with clothes that maybe millennials did at the time. So I see H&M being like a fine company, but I don't see them maybe getting massive in growth or growing that much bigger over the next 10 to 15 years. I kind of see them being like a sustainable company. But it seems to the only thing that would keep me into the dividend or into H&M is it does pay a nice dividend and it has a nice PE ratio. So these are just two companies that are Swedish that are going through a hard time right now. H&M definitely seems like the one that's more able to survive. Ericsson's one that definitely worries me a little bit as far as what they need to do as a company to move forward. I don't make this video to like hate on anyone. I'm just pointing out the news and the facts. I don't have a ton of the information, so that's why I make a YouTube video like this, so you can have a discussion, talk about it. If you work at either one of those places, I'm not saying it's not going to be there anymore, but it is just something I'm concerned with. And I bring this up just because when in America, like when Amazon took off like it did, and especially with Walmart, I mean, it had a huge impact. I mean, even Netflix, I mean, there's still a place I think you can rent movies in the town that I am, but it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's hard to find that anymore. And like when Netflix came out, we had these movie theaters called Blockbuster that were huge. They were massive. They were so popular that boom, dead. It's just technology. I think especially with tech stocks, things are just moving so quickly right now. So I hope both of these companies can find a way to do what they do. If I said things wrong, feel free to type that in the comments below. Tell me what I could do to make these videos better. I hope you found some value out of this video. If you did, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.